We interrupt your usual program for our two-parter Halloween special. Wahahaha.
First up, Death Note.
Da, da, da.
Welcome back, anime fans. That's right. Bridget and I are back again.
Woo!
After a 2-week hiatus, I believe. Maybe a little more. Sorry about that.
We left the country. Sorry.
Yeah, we had explored the world a little bit. But we are back to bring you more anime podcasting. This week is Death Note. We are both very excited about this because it's Halloween time, and what better to talk about than Death Note?
And Ryuk has got like the creepiest face in anime.
So creepy. So this episode's going to be a bit more streamlined. We're not going to be doing news. We're not going to be doing Word of the Week. We are going to just get into the thick of it, and we're not going to really talk all that much about the story of Death Note.
I feel like everyone has seen this classic.
More about the topics and the characters and stuff. So just to give you a brief synopsis and stuff, Death Note was directed by Tetsuro Araki and animated by Madhouse. Began airing in Japan on October 3rd, 2006. Finished its run a year later, June 2007. And it totaled 37 20-minute episodes. Began as a manga, serialized in the weekly Shonen Jump in 2003, and it was adapted into a live-action Japanese film series beginning in 2006, an anime series in 2006, a musical in 2015, a live-action television drama in 2015, and an American version on Netflix in 2017. Death Note has had its fair share of adaptations.
Yeah.
The series has also produced several video games and novels.
Woo!
So, Death Note, it doesn't matter, the cats are the cats.
God damn it! Stop it.
So for a brief synopsis, high school student Light Yagami discovers a supernatural notebook that allows him to kill anyone simply by writing the victim's name while picturing their face. The story follows his attempts to become a god while creating a new world cleansed of evil. Using the notebook, begin to see the conflict between himself and all those who try to stop or help him. So one of the big themes of this show is death. Naturally, as it is in the title. Death Note is a supernatural book that falls from the Shinigami homeworld, and Light happens to come upon it. After touching the Death Note, he can then see the Shinigami Ryuk, and Ryuk explains sort of how the Death Note works.
She takes it pretty well, considering
Light takes it surprisingly well.
How daunting and terrifying Ryuk looks. He's a good, 12 feet tall and horrifying, and he takes the news pretty good.
Stuff of nightmares, like Pennywise scary nightmare level,
Pretty much.
And you instantly realize how Light is just tired of the way the world is. Like he's incredibly intelligent. And he lives day to day, and he's kind of just bored with existence.
Like he's so smart that there is no challenge in his life.
And this book comes into his life, and I'm guessing it's at a crossroads because it shows him in the school, and he sees the Death Note fall from the sky, and later on he goes out and he finds the book, and he thinks it's just sort of like a joke, some kid
that was a gag,
playing a gag, and he picks it up to realize all of this power that he now holds, but instead of being afraid of it, I think a normal person would react to,
or at least have some kind of inner conflict. Is it right to even use it?
Yeah, he does have a 10-second inner conflict where he's just like, should I even have this power? And then he realizes, yes I should.
Yeah,
because I can cleanse this world of all evil. There's a lot of moral gray area in this show, and it makes it very entertaining to watch.
I feel like the most interesting focus of this show, and I think maybe partly why it's so successful, this anime is a classic anime. Everyone's heard of Death Note, even people who don't really know anime, because it's they had live action versions of it. It's been on Netflix. Like, everyone has been able to, at some point, see some of Death Note. And maybe because of the fact that there's no one person that you're supposed to root for. They don't make it easy for you to pick between L or Light. And really, it's up to your own moral code who you vote for. Some people think that Light is not in the wrong to kill serial killers, that he's doing the system of justice.
He's doing the system of justice. The cats are
scratching our door. And that he's making the world, he is actually making the world a safer place. The crime rate goes down. But then there's the question, he's now a murderer himself. Should somebody be taking him out, arresting him? And that's where L comes in. So,
and L is essentially
his equal and opposite.
You're looking at like a good angel devil sort of scenario where L follows the rules of law.
Yeah.
But he's also incredibly intelligent.
Yeah,
and
they
it's
are
this epic chess
definitely a match for each other.
This epic chess match between the two of them, constantly playing, and at times each of them are like 2 to 3 steps ahead of the other, and then all of a sudden it turns around where Light was ahead of L, now L's ahead of Light.
I know.
It's very intense.
And you know what? The fact that Light is doing all of this through supernatural means with this notebook, so it's amazing that with L, with his deductive reasoning, that he was able to get as close as he did and then, figure out who it is. Considering he's doing it by means that no one's ever seen before. He's never near the victims when they die, but like L is just so intelligent that he sees the pattern and he hones in on Light, and it gets really intense. But even if you're not voting for Light, you still worry for him when L gets close. You still get nervous, and part of you still hopes that he gets away. Like, they do it so well in this show.
Light actually he creates this persona referred to as Kira. Kira essentially becomes both feared and loved by the masses.
Yeah, they worship him.
People worship him. Bad people are afraid. The good people are worshipping Kira, who's this, by all means, a god to them. So the show follows Light. It follows his interactions with all the characters. Now, his father is this special detective, and this is how sort of things end up getting connected. L is brought in to work on these cases because they believe that Kira is stationed in Japan. Even though killings are like happening worldwide, L is so smart, he deduces when the killing's happening.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, okay, it's happening between this time of day. So
that's weird. That's outside of school hours, standard school hours.
Yeah, and it's he ends up with like a 2% chance that Light is Kira, and as he begins to go through his deductions, he increases in chance that Kira is actually Light.
Yeah, and then also, so Light is a relative of one of the people on this team that's trying to figure out who Kira is. As soon as this team gets some information, all of a sudden, Kira, whoever he is, changes his pattern. So that's how L's like, you know what? I think he has this information. I think he's somehow connected to one of us, because he must have the information that we're gathering, because he is always changing. As soon as we notice a pattern, he changes it, which means he has information on the inside. And that's how L started to look into all the relatives of this team, and L, being the son of one of the detectives, is on that list. Very short list, which is how he very quickly becomes in focus under L's magnifying glass, gets in really close. As
interesting as the chess match between Light and L is throughout the show, there are two sort of other really main characters, and that's Ryuk and Amane. So Ryuk is the Shinigami to which owns the Death Note. There's this separate world of Shinigami that have the ability to look upon the human world, and Ryuk, being bored one day, drops his book.
On a whim, he's just drops it.
He drops it into the human world. And it's not the first time that Shinigami have done this either. Very interesting, because like Shinigami don't necessarily come across as evil in the Shinigami world. They kind of just are there.
Yeah, they're not good or evil. They're necessary. They are how people die.
Ryuk might be evil.
Yeah, maybe Ryuk specifically is a little twisted, but the Shinigami, like as a whole, like they're just the way that people die. Like they are the ones to collect the souls when people pass.
And Ryuk has this great look to him. He almost looks like this twisted, demented clown, spiky hair.
Yeah, because he has the pale white face, and he's got like the big red lips, so he does look like an evil
He
clown.
looks like a zombie Joker.
Yes, he
Like
does. He's got
a
like the dark
monstrous
green hair.
zombie Joker. He's terrifying to look at. It's interesting to see Light's reaction to him, like, and how quickly he gets over the fact that Shinigami are real, the fact that he now has this power granted to him. And it's very intense and it's very interesting. There are rules to the Notebook, which they go through, like, throughout the show. You don't learn everything up front.
There's a long list of rules.
But it's very cool.
Then he starts to realize, wow, I can be a lot more flexible with this. He starts to get more creative with how people die, and he chooses when they die. So he tries to make them die at different times so that there's no pattern, which is one of the leads that Elle had, was noticing that people were only dying outside of standard school hours.
And it
so
should
to switch it up.
say that because Shinigami aren't normally visible to humans, they're only visible to those who touch a Death Note. Because Light uses this Death Note, he can see Ryuk. Other people can't see Ryuk, although Ryuk does have some semblance in the actual world because he can pick up an apple.
He loves apples.
Eat an apple, and you'll see the
toss
core,
yep.
just be tossed around. It's interesting to watch. You get this other character, Amane, and she's this... You have different levels of unhinged in this show.
Oh, yeah.
You have Light, who is a serial killer, by definition. He's convinced himself and the world, or at least most of it, that what he's doing is good. It's for the greater good. Amane is this female character who's obsessed with Kira, who also happens to come upon a Death Note. She dedicates herself to finding out who Kira is and continuing his cause. And even at one point, Elle deciphers there has to be a second Kira, and then he figures out it's Amane, which increases the likelihood that Light is Kira.
Yeah.
And it's just this epic chess match. And Amane's not my favorite character for sure. She's a little one-dimensional, in my opinion. Like, she's a classic sort of schoolgirl character who's, like, has a crush, and I kind of felt that was, like...
With an evil twist.
Yeah, she's psychotic.
Like, she goes beyond what Light will do. Like, she has killed good people, too.
Yeah, she'll kill anybody.
Because they were getting close to Light.
And she's smart, but she ain't Light smart.
Yeah, and she doesn't have the same moral code as Light, which causes problems for him. So here's the big question. Who do you think is right? Elle or Kira?
Now, see, understand that Light's father's a detective. Mm-hmm. He doesn't see Kira as a good person. He sees Kira as a murderer.
As a killer.
As a killer, just like all the other bad people. It's very, like, hard because Light also has this he has this intense dedication to his father. His father's on the team to stop Kira. It gets really, really gray. Now, personally, as great of a character as Light is, he shouldn't have the power of, judge, jury, and execution.
Nobody should, except Shinigami, I guess, but...
I'm completely on the side of Elle.
I mean, I don't think anyone should have the right to decide who lives and dies, but in, like, the beginning of the show, he does drastically reduce the crime rate of the city. Everyone feels safe. Everyone has, like, hope that, he's gonna change the world. So he does have, like, a positive effect on the populace, but he's a murderer.
He's the Punisher without the guns, essentially.
Yeah, I guess, you know what, like, if you think about comics, like, there's a lot of comic book heroes that are called heroes that have killed bad people. They were fighting with bows and arrows or with their fists, with their powers, and they've murdered, like, bad people in those shows. And we don't think about it as much because they're not there solely to kill those people, but they die during action fighting each other, and it was either the good guy or the bad guy, and they had to kill the bad guy. So you don't think about it as much but in this case, Light, he's literally writing their name down. This person is going to die. And it's more decisive and one-sided. It's not self-defense. It's just outright murder. But it's still the same thing as, like, a lot of these. Like, in the Arrow, like, when Arrow first started out, he killed people.
Yeah, I know. And the thing is, I probably was on his side more than I'm on Light's side.
Yeah, because it's very one-sided here. Arrow is out there risking his own life.
That's also physical, too. Like, that's based in the world of, essentially in the world of reality, where Light has something supernatural. Like, how do you defend against that? And fortunately for Elle, he doesn't use his real name.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Now, one of the abilities that Shinigamis can pass on to a keeper of the Death Note is these special eyes. It reduces their life by half to get these eyes, but they can see the actual names of people so they can do their work better. And Light refuses this. He's just like, no, I don't.
Yeah, no
thanks. I want to live my full life.
But then Psycho Misa Amane decided to
take the eyes and actually
give up half her
how
lifespan.
she found Light to begin with. And he decides to use her to uncover L's true name. L, for the other side of things, so L's the good guy, but he's also very socially awkward. Like, he has no essential emotional attachment to people.
No.
Like, he actually considers Light a friend, and he's troubled a little bit by the fact that Light could be Kira, but it doesn't stop him from
he's also
pursuing that line of thinking.
super intelligent.
Oh,
so he feels like alone in the world because he has no match until Kira comes around. Kira is his match.
They're both two sides of the same coin.
They're both right in their own way.
I actually had a thought when I first watched this show. What happened in Light's life leading up to the Death Note? Because he was clearly bored. Like, bored to an extent that would cause him to even think this is an okay thing to do. He seems to have, like, a normal family. He has a sister. His mom and dad are together. Like, his dad's they're all, like, a working class family. Like, what went on in this guy's life? I would love to see a little backstory. I don't know if they really go into that prior to the Death Note in the show.
Not so much.
But that would be an interesting thing to revisit. You could do, like, a prelude story of how L becomes L, Light becomes Light, leading up to the beginning of Death Note. I think that'd be cool. At me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel like something maybe traumatized him in his childhood because he was just too mentally prepared for so much darkness. For Ryuk, knowing about Shinigami and being able to just kill and really not blink.
I don't really know what makes an anime popular. Like, I get it. Like, they're cool.
It's different,
it's cool.
too. Like, it's original. Like, I feel animes kind of have a formula, and a lot of them stay in that safe box, that little formula, and then there's animes that are just out there, like completely different from anything we've seen. Really, it makes you question your own moral code as well. Like, what would you do if it was in your hands?
So I think that covers it.
Yeah.
For our Death Note Part 1 Halloween special.
Whoa. You
can find this on Netflix currently. So our cosplay corner this week is Sozenka Official. That's SOSENKAOFFICIAL.
Everything she does is
she is
so
a
impressive.
Legit cosplayer.
Like, male and female characters, just uncanny, like how much she resembles them. And it's not just anime.
And she does Ryuk and L.
Stuff.
And it's really cool. Really cool.
So good. So
next week, or rather part 2, is going to be Kiki's Delivery Service.
The cute side of Halloween. But don't forget, guys, you can reach out to us at gitcanime@gmail.com. And we're always on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. So just look for GITC Anime.
We're on SoundCloud and iTunes. Give us a review, rate, subscribe, review. We would love a review. We would love some pointers on how to make this better.
Yeah, and also for our Patreon members, we are uploading a Patreon exclusive episode today. So if you want to hear it, you got to be a member. So get on there. And I think you only have to pay $5 a month to get all these special episodes. So thanks, guys. And we will see you next week.
And thank you to Anthony for our theme.
Awesome theme.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Yeah.